present with the exception of Councilor Miliante, who is away on vacation. Administration is present. Deputy CAO is here for CAO O'Malley, who is out with a cold, who is sick tonight. Are there any addition? I'll call the meeting to order. Are there any additions to the agenda? Amber.
As per Section 153 of the Municipal Government Act, under duties and responsibilities of councillors, Section D is to obtain information about the operation or administration of the municipality from the Chief Administrative Officer or a person designated by the Chief Administrative Officer. Therefore, I would like to add the following items to the agenda, please. I would like an update on the newsletter. Under old business, please. Compilation of land use bylaw amendments for easy access. Information regarding the $100,000 donation to the FCSS for the Community Connections Worker. And I might add,
Under old business?
under old business.
Thank you.
These are all items that the CAO had committed to following up on in previous meetings, and so I'm just inquiring. Request for the information regarding the disclosure of legal costs and whether or not it is protected under FOIP. I'd requested information pertaining to a meeting, setting up a meeting with the Sturgeon School Division trustees and town council. I had requested to get a total number of the town employees, in addition to the when the Momentum Fitness employees became town employees. An update for a request to the provincial government to go over a debt limit. There was a point made regarding the Riverside condos and a refund of approximately $500,000 to those residents for water. I'd like to follow up on that. A request that administration provide counsel for proof of payment and supporting documentation made to numbered company 1056875 Alberta Limited. I'd like a follow-up on my request for the actual email, which includes the date and timestamp from the sender sent to council and council members regarding the cancellation of the meeting of June 26, 2024. Under new business, accessibility to the live stream link. I'd like to follow up with the pickleball stairs. There was an inquiry from a couple of residents. In addition to that, there was also an inquiry from citizens regarding the town staff observed working at the address of 4145 51st Street with town equipment during town work hours. And I have some questions regarding homestead land developments. Under notice of motions, my notice of motion number 1, that council direct administration to provide a detailed listing of all accounts payable made to vendors, consultants, and contractors for the period of January 1st, 2022 through to August 31st, 2024. This information will be available at the September 25th meeting, 2024, regular meeting of council. Should that meeting be canceled for any reason, this information should be available at the next evening meeting, 7 p.m., regular meeting of council. Notice of motion number 2.
What was the last one?
Sorry, pardon?
The last one.
That was, it was just addition if the September 25th meeting is canceled for any reason, for it to be, this information be provided at the next evening meeting. Notice of motion number 3, the council direct administration to provide a detailed statement of the lines of credit the town currently has for the period from January 1st, 2022 to August 31st, 2024. This information will be available at the September 25th, 2024 meeting of council. Should that meeting be canceled for any reason, this information should be available at the next evening meeting, 7 p.m., regular meeting of council. And the last notice of motion, that going forward indefinitely, administration is to provide council a detailed statement for the line of credit on a quarterly basis.
With your notices of motion, do you have your written and signed copies to give to the recording secretary?
I can't hear you, I'm sorry, sir.
Sorry, do you have your written and signed copies to give to the,
Well, I
Recording
emailed them
secretary.
the other day, so they were on there as well.
I did get them in an email, Councillor Harris, and I did print them out, so I have them for
Thank
the
you.
next meeting.
okay, thank you. Can I also get the motion to remove? Oh, thank you, Dale.
Yeah, I'd like to remove the item 8.1 as the gentleman won't be here for this meeting.
Thank you. And 8.2, which will become 8.1, is Staff Sergeant McGonigal coming. Council, I would ask your deference if our guest does arrive, that we can slide him in wherever possible so we don't delay him or waste his time. But we will proceed with the agenda. Could I have a motion to accept the agenda?
I'll make the motion to accept the agenda.
As amended?
As amended, sorry.
All in favor? Carried. Thank you. 6.1, regular meeting of council, July 24. Any questions, errors, or omissions, or can we have a motion, please, to the
I'll
floor?
make a motion to adopt the minutes of council meetings on July 24.
All in favor? Carried. Thank you. 7.1, accounts paid, August 26, 24.
I'll make the motion to accept accounts paid as of August 26, 2024.
Are there any questions, council? Amber?
I just, I was noticed that on page 1, 4 down for border.
Councillor Harris, sorry, can you
Yeah.
please speak into your mic?
Sorry, yeah. Page 1, 4 down for border paving. I understand that we paid $245,601.28 for the Heartline Commons subgrade. I'm just a little confused. This money that we're putting out for the developments is, where do we get the money for it? Because is this not included in the ask from the province? Do we know? Like, how are we spending money that we don't know we have yet? And I suppose these are questions for Mr. O'Malley. Yes? No?
Councillor Harris, they will have to be for Mr. O'Malley, and
Sorry, Mr. Lowe, can you please move your mic down?
she does this to me all the time. Mayor Deck, members of council, Councillor Harris, we'll have to wait for Monique Jeffries and
Okay,
Mr.
I'll ask.
O'Malley to answer them.
I'll ask when he returns, thanks.
Any other questions? All in favor? Carried. Said second quarter budget variance report. Council?
We need a motion to
Please.
open that up?
Lorraine?
Please use your microphone.
I'd like to move that council accept the 2024 budget variance report as at June 30th, 2024 as information.
Any questions? Amber?
Are there no staff that are going to go through this? I mean, we only got this afternoon.
So Harris, that was sent with the package yesterday.
What was the addition that you
The
said?
addition to the agenda was the annual report that.
Pardon me. Okay. Then my question, I'll shorten my question. Is nobody going to go through this and present this from administration?
Mayor Deck, members of council, Councilor Harris, we have to wait for Mr. O'Malley and Minnie to be back for that. And Tara is off on vacation, or she would have been here tonight.
So could I make a suggestion and perhaps rather than accepting this, we table this item for a later meeting when we have an administration staff to go through it with us? I mean, I don't want to, there's a lot of numbers in here.
I would need either a friendly amendment to the motion or a vote on the motion is defeated and a new motion is made.
Lorraine, would you accept that as a friendly amendment?
Yes, I would.
Okay,
Okay, so the motion would be to table the,
until the appropriate
Until the-
staff are present.
yeah, thank you.
All in favor? Carried. 7.3, utility tax comparison. Lorraine,
Once again, I move that council receives the 2024 regional utility and tax comparisons as information.
okay. Any questions? As it's just a comparison of the taxes throughout the municipalities. If you want to put a friendly amendment forward, please feel free.
Well, is that how this whole meeting is gonna go?
Well, considering we're missing two of our senior staff, we may need to do that.
Okay, I would like to make a friendly amendment to, table this item until we have administration staff to speak to it.
Lorraine, would you accept?
No, I think this is straightforward information. There's really nothing to explain, so my motion stands.
All in favor?
Recorded vote, please.
Okay. All opposed? Okay. 8.1 would be the quarterly update from Staff Sergeant Darcy McGonigal. Evidently, something must have waylaid him, probably due to police business, I'm assuming. So, can we?
Your Honor, we could just pass it if you'd like, and then if he happens to show up, we can move it forward.
Can we bring it back again then, if he is
If he
able
happens
attend?
to show up. Otherwise, I'm not sure what's going on. I haven't heard from him.
Okay, thank you. Is that amenable by council? Okay, we'll move, do we need a motion, Chris?
No, it's still on the agenda. There's nothing we can do. If he doesn't show up, I'll record it in the minutes as he didn't show up.
Okay. 9.0, newsletter.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, considering there's no administration here to speak to any of these items on the agenda, I don't know if, I mean, we can do the same as we just did, is have them tabled until the next meeting, or whatnot. We can go through each.
I want to say, Councillor Harris, there are some staff here that probably could answer some of your questions.
Okay.
So
Would they be answered in the staff reports, or would they be answered in this section?
she's she's asked them to be, Councillor Harris has asked them to be put onto the agenda, so they are on the agenda as items now.
Okay.
So we would address each one individually.
And any that aren't answered, can we push them to the next when we have full staff?
Well, most of them actually, either Mr. O'Malley or Ms. Jeffries would probably be the individuals who, would speak to them. So should we go line by line and table them, each of them?
I want to say, if you would like, the easiest thing for us to do would be actually to amend the agenda, remove those items, and you would add them as new items going forward in the next meeting.
And how do we have that recorded? Because the notice of motions would be that. Should I make a notice of motion for all of these?
No notice of motion
No.
for new business.
Yeah, yeah, notice of motions are their own separate item on the
Okay.
agenda, and so they have been recorded as notice of motions.
Okay.
They get voted on at the next meeting.
Right.
So, which would be the September, I think it's September the 11th is the next meeting, so they
Okay.
would be voted on then. Your motions would be voted on then.
All right.
Your new business items and your old business items, those would be the ones that it would be the easiest just to remove those from the agenda. Council will make a motion to remove, or you can make that motion and just to remove those items from the agenda, and then at the following meeting, you can certainly add them again.
Okay, well, considering I tried to submit them prior to the agenda being made on, for this meeting, how do I go about ensuring that they will be on the agenda for the next meeting?
Just like you did tonight, that's what I would say. The agenda's not under my control,
Okay.
so,
Whose control is it under?
it's under the CAO and the mayor.
Okay, so I
Or you-
should,
Or you could ask for these to be carried over, could she not?
Certainly.
Why don't you
I
do
mean,
that?
this
Because
is
then it's
council's, yeah, we
it
can
is
ask them to
recorded.
be tabled until the next meeting.
okay, I'll tell you what. Can I blanket them then? Can I say all of the items that I added under old business be tabled until the next meeting?
You can, but I'll have to list each one of them in the minutes as this item has been tabled. So what I can do is put them, because they're listed as 9.1 all
Yeah.
the way down, and then I'll just, in the minutes, list them as Councillor Harris moved that items 9.1 through
Through to, okay.
All right,
Yes, then let's do that.
Okay.
I will,
make that motion?
make a motion, yeah, for both the old business and the new business items then.
Okay,
Okay?
yep.
All in favor? Carried. 10.1, annual report. Would you like this tabled until we have our CAO and our CFO present, council? Or accept as information?
I'll move to accept the annual report as information.
Amber?
Again, now there's lots of numbers and information. I would like to table this for the next meeting so that we have the appropriate administrative staff to speak to it.
Norm, do you accept that as a friendly amendment?
Pardon me, no. Call the question.
All in favor
I'd like a
of
recorded
accepting
vote,
the
please.
annual report as presented? All opposed? 10.2, Life Sciences Week proclamation.
I'll make the motion for the council proclaims September 23rd to 27th, 2024 as Life Science Week in Gibbons.
All in favor? Carried. Strategic planning, are we looking for a date, Chris?
I'm not sure, this was another
wasn't
item
out on
from,
me.
yeah, from Councillor Harris.
We haven't had one for a couple of years. Do we know if there's any idea whether or not we're gonna do one going forward unless I have not been included in previous years?
This would be a council decision if you would like to get together to have a strategic planning session. You can either have administration go back and come back with a couple of dates, or council can make a decision. Council can make a decision, sorry, on a date. That's up to you.
Well, then I'll ask the rest of council. Any thoughts?
Lorraine?
I would prefer to have all of administration here. I agree with Amber that we should have a strategic planning session, but I think we need all of administration here when we plan dates.
Dale?
I think based on that, I'd like to make a motion that we request administration to come back with some dates as options that we can make a decision on at the next meeting.
I can agree to that.
All in favor? Carried. Staff reports.
Just a reminder, council, if you leave your mics on, you're giving feedback on the live feed, so if you're not speaking, could you just turn them off? Thank you.
Mayor, deck, members of council, I apologize for not having the other staff here, but things happen. So I'll start off with Stephanie on this.
Mayor Deck, members of council, our summer programs are now completed for the season, so that concludes our summer student positions. They did a wonderful job this year. Our youth center is officially now open 5 days a week for grades 5 to 12. I can say yesterday we had 10 minutes before they opened, 12 kids lined up to get in the door, and we hit capacity last night. So we are expecting that to continue to happen. So fantastic job for our new youth coordinator there. Some upcoming events. One of them happened yesterday. We had our first annual children's clothing swap. It was successful. Townwide garage sale is coming up. We have community week with block parties, our Meet the Community Night and Touch a Truck event. And we just asked to everyone look for that monthly newsletter on our website to see more events. We've now added a whole month calendar into that as well for easy access for everyone to see what's going on.
Dale?
I'm just curious, what is our capacity and how many are we turning away?
So our capacity in that room is 20 kids. So because it's a drop-in program, there typically is people coming in and out. So we're not necessarily turning them away for a short period of time typically. So they might go wait a few minutes and see if someone comes out so they can pop in. But we do able to get a good turnover on that as well, since it is that drop in and out.
And it's a limitation due to the size of the room?
Size of room and capacity for one staff as well, yes.
Lorraine?
What is Touch a Truck?
Councillor Barry, so this is an event that quite a few communities put on as well. So we are getting a bunch of large vehicles. GFL will be bringing a garbage truck out. We are going to have our Zamboni, the fire truck. This is an event where children can come and actually touch the vehicles, get in the driver's seat, get to explore these vehicles and touch them, and kind of get to see how they operate and things like that. So.
Sounds like fun for the kids. Thank you.
Amber?
Thank you. Is the food bank affiliated with community services at all? Or are they a separate entity from the town?
Councillor Harris, so they are a separate entity. We do help them with a number of items, including doing intakes. So we have included that in one of our staff members' roles, and we help them with a lot of key components, but they are their own entity.
Okay, so we don't, other than, they're their own charitable status, that type of thing, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Is the Angel Donor Network run through them then, do you know?
No, that is our program.
And but we issue tax receipts for donations, do we not?
Yes, so that's a separate society that was created through the GFRC and it has its own board members that operate that.
Which society is that?
That's the Angel Donors.
And who's on the board?
I don't have the list in front of me. I'd have to come back with you for the board members.
I didn't know that there was a separate board for that.
Yes, it's its own society.
Okay, perhaps that would be, if we could get that information about who's sits on that board and a little bit more info, because from what I understand, donations would be made to the town for that entity. And I'm sorry to put you on the spot. You know, if Mr. O'Malley, I'm sure he would know more about this. But I was just a little bit unclear as how the town can issue, tax receipts for a society that we're not necessarily affiliated with, or we are and we didn't know. Does that make sense?
I'd be happy to come back with more information for you at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Louise?
Mayor Deck, members of council. Planning still going on for the mayor's lunch on October 18th. We do have some people signed up for it already, which is great. Hoping for a few more. Spearfishing 4, the movie that was made here in Gibbons. We had the viewing and it was a success. It was on the long weekend, but I mean, we still had quite a few people show up, and they have started on their next movie. So, which is filming some here and some outside of town. So we'll look forward to that for next year. Thank you.
Amber?
Are development permits public information?
Yes, they are.
Okay. I had been reading through some historical documents last week, and there was a note in the December 14th, 2022 meeting that I had passed, I made a motion to approve a development permit that I had submitted for, I didn't recall actually doing this, and that was the same day that Miles Davis from Davis Developments had addressed council, and I'd asked for the hard copy of that that motion that I had made be provided to me, and it wasn't. And I had come into the office just to refresh my memory last week to listen to the audio recordings of that meeting, and it was there was no audio from the time that there was nothing even indicating that we had went in camera. It was silent. And then the subsequent meeting in January, it also noted that I accepted the minutes, and I listened, or I asked Ms. Pinot to pull that meeting up as well. And again, there was no audio. So how would one request to see that development permit?
You can send in an email and ask to see it. It would not have a copy of the motion attached to it.
Oh, no, that's fine. I've already asked that of the CAO, so I'm just waiting for that. But I don't recall making that that motion, and there's no copy of a hard copy from administration. It's fairly lengthy, so I wouldn't have written it myself. So okay, so just send in an email to Mr. O'Malley requesting to see that development permit then?
Yep.
And would that include all amendments as well?
You would have to ask for them. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not sure if they're there. What there is for amendments, I don't know.
Okay, but the amendments, if I requested on, to see that particular development permit,
Yep.
I would ask for amendments and they would be provided?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Louise, you want to do planning and development too?
That's what I did.
Oh, you did miss the mayor's lunch?
I said the mayor's lunch.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
My bad.
You're back.
Okay, I'll do corporate services then, and, so, the audit is still ongoing, they're getting close to the end. They were working quite hard on it. And, you got tax enforcement, 3 properties are going up for tax sale, they'll be coming out soon. And Curtis,
Good evening, Mayor Deck, members of council. Public Works for the following weeks here are as follows. Water meter installations are ongoing as our appointments are being made. The concrete work, grass mowing, tree planting are still ongoing in town. Concrete work should be wrapping up towards the end of this week, depending on weather. Just have some landscaping to finish up there. And the trees, we're currently about 50% planted for the year of a total of 533 trees we're looking at this season. So doing very well on that. We got a short window left to finish that up. Thanks.
Curtis, how many trees did we lose to winter kill last year on the new plants? Roughly.
Mayor Deck, for the winter kill last year, we lost, I believe it was a total of 5 or 6 trees. Out of
the whole?
Out of the, I think we had 160 trees roughly last year off the top of my head. So we're under that 10% threshold that you typically plan for
That's
tree
excellent.
planting.
Lorraine?
this is just a silly comment, but I went through the annual report, and somewhere in there it says that we acquired 2 billion trees. You might want to look back at it. I don't know who put it in there. They were probably being facetious because they have been a lot of trees, but I don't think we planted 2 billion.
Actually, I think that's the number that the federal government hopes to plant in the whole program.
Oh,
Mayor
Steph?
Deck, members of council, Councilor Barry, that's actually the name of the grant that we got to receive that, so it's called the 2 billion tree grant.
okay, thank you for the explanation. I thought you purchased 2 billion trees.
Amber?
Thanks. I don't know if you can answer this, and I apologize for putting either one of you gentlemen on the spot, but it's come to my attention that there is an entity by the name of Gibbons Alberta Utilities Corporation, and it's under Peace Power. Have either one of you heard about this? Anybody else heard about it? Okay, maybe I'll ask when Mr. O'Malley is back, because it's a legitimate company, and yep, PEACE Power. Oh, and on that website, it's got lists about 50 to 60 actual municipalities throughout Alberta with the same, like, there is a link to it where you can sign up for power and cable and gas distribution as well. Not, pardon? It is called Peace Power, PEACE.
Like Peace Region type.
Yep, Peace Power. And yeah, if you go on there, it brings like there's Sturgeon County Alberta Utilities Corporation and Parkland County. There's a whole bunch of them that
That's interesting.
yeah, and I know that there was talk from Mr. O'Malley to create a utilities corporation, but I didn't know if we actually went through it, so I,
Come to council.
yeah, well, you should have. Anyway, so, okay, well, maybe I'll put that question on to the next meeting, thanks.
We're gonna wrap our staff reports, and then we'll go right back to you. No rush at all. Okay, thank you.
Mayor Deck, members of council, so fire department, currently our membership's at 26. We have 2 new recruits starting on the 10th. 2024 calls, town calls are now at not 106, 107. County calls are at 147 now. The new truck is up and running. It's doing good. And my bad news is that we have an annual ball game with Bon Accord. And for the past 4 years, we won. And the mayor's made a bet, and the losing team, mayor, has to have a picture taken with the winning team's flag. So unfortunately, our team did extremely horrible, and I have to stand here with the mayor and have a Bon Accord flag and a picture
The
taken.
losing pitcher. There we go.
The losing mayor.
There we go. Steph, can you please send that to me? I must send it to Mayor Holden this evening.
And to finish off, Heartland Station, Loblaws, they say opening by mid-December. They're trying for a little earlier. They've been pushing the contractor. So we'll see what happens when that comes up. And the small strip mall, they'll individually open as they're ready to go.
Can I get a motion to accept the reports as presented for information?
I'll make the motion to accept as information.
All in favor? Carried. And back to 8.1, Staff Sergeant Darcy McGonigal.
Just give me 1 second to make sure it's up for the live stream, please.
All right. right here.
All right, Staff Sergeant, just a reminder to turn the mic on when you're speaking so people can hear you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you to Mayor and Council for inviting me this evening, and to a good part of the town of Gibbons, it looks like, in the room. We maybe need a bigger room for the next meeting. I'm here to present our first quarter update for quarter one for 2024-25, which will cover the period of April 1st to June 30th. Brought with me this evening Constable Jesse Mercier. Constable Mercier is one of our constables at the Morinville Detachment. He has 3 years of service. He's at his first post. One of the things I'm trying to incorporate here at the Morinville Detachment since my arrival in May is something I call two-way involvement. And so this works in a couple different ways. One of the things that I like to do as a detachment commander is accompany my frontline members as they're going to deal with stuff in the community, as they're talking to youth in the schools. I like to come along because I think it's important that while they're doing that job firsthand, that the people in the community actually get to see me, the commander, and get to know myself as well in situations that I might not be able to see otherwise. Conversely, I like to involve my frontline members in environments like this, where they get to see our elected officials, they get to meet face-to-face with the fine folks that they probably wouldn't meet otherwise, and that way you get to see who it is that's doing the good work out there. If you read the Morinville news at all, and you see some of the good reports of the police work that we're doing, late night patrols that were catching folks doing property crimes. This gentleman sitting next to me is responsible for a good portion of there. He's an excellent investigator and just tenacious in his patrols and making a real difference out there. So happy to bring Jesse with me this evening. We'll move forward to the next slide, please. So again, the purpose of the PowerPoint presentation is to provide an update to Council on the operations of the Morinville RCMP detachment. And to the next slide, please. Covering our detachment policing priorities. Again, these were identified probably in February and March. These are our policing priorities for this current fiscal year. They include crime reduction, enhanced awareness and education, employee wellness and respect, and enhanced road safety. Now, one thing I brought up in my previous meeting, which I think was May or June, was that I'm going to change the focus a little bit on some of the data that we're providing to Mayor and Council for Gibbons. Rather than provide the traditional cookie cutter data, which includes statistics that are from the entire Morinville detachment area. So from one end, Alexander, all the way to Gibbons and everything in between in north and south and within the town of Morinville. I'm going to provide data that's specific to the town of Gibbons. I think that will give the people in Gibbons, certainly the elected officials, a better sense of which way we're trending within Gibbons. Not to say that there's no interest in the activities we're doing outside of the town, but primarily I suspect there's an interest in how things are doing right here in the community. So that's what the focus is going to be on today. And in the next slide, or sorry, a couple slides from now, I'll cover off the stats and trends. If there is anything else that we want to amend going forward, we can certainly do that. So if we can go back one slide. My apologies. Again, just to cover off, the Morinville RCMP detachment provides 24-hour policing services to several communities and municipalities, including Alexander First Nation, Sturgeon County, the town of Bonaccord, town of Gibbons, town of Legal, and town of Morinville. Move to the next slide, please. Human resources update. So the Morinville detachment is comprised of 40 personnel that work within the office. So we have one staff sergeant, myself, we have a sergeant position, 5 corporals, which consist of 4 corporals that supervise the watches that work 24 hours a day, and we have 1 corporal who oversees our general investigation section. We also have 18 plus 1 constables. That's 18 constables plus 1 constable who performs in the full-time role of school resource officer. 4 public service employees, 4 town of Morinville full-time employees, 5 town of Morinville casual employees, 1 reservist constable through the Alberta Reservist Program, and our officers are also supported by Sturgeon Victim Services, 9 in total, and 5 guards. Just a quick update, if we can stay on that slide for a moment. Our sergeant position is now vacant. Sergeant Lou Sims, after serving at our detachment for nearly 4 years, finished his last shift at Morinville Detachment on August 2nd. He accepted a promotion to Leduc Detachment. And just like to take this opportunity, and I've obviously expressed this directly to Lou, how grateful we are for his service over the years, which included a significant period of acting time in charge of the local detachment over the past year.
Please, when you talk to him next, thank Lou for his service out here. Lou was a great resource and always open to council.
I will. He's an excellent police officer and just a tremendous leader as well. So his presence is certainly missed. That position currently is vacant. We have one of our corporals acting in that role until permanent replacement can be identified. I suspect that will be sometime this fall. At the next update that I provide to council, I should have a name provided, someone identified. Of our 5 corporal positions, like I said, 4 of those are supervising our watches. 3 of those 4 have been vacant for a good part of the last year, and I've taken some steps with our Human Resources Department at headquarters where I came from prior to my arrival here, and we've got some wheels moving here. So we've gotten 2 out of the 3 vacant positions filled. They've been identified. Corporal John Corp from Fort Saskatchewan Detachment and Corporal Ryan LeMay from our Central Alberta District Office General Investigations Section have both accepted promotions to our office, and they will be starting with us next month. That will leave us with 1 remaining watch corporal vacancy. I suspect that sometime within the next 3 or 4 weeks, we'll have that person identified, and within a month after that, we will have them working on site. That will just leave our sergeant position in our manager ranks vacant. Of our constable positions, we are fully staffed. We don't have any vacancies in the constable ranks. That being said, we do have 3 what you can refer to as soft vacancies. We have 1 constable who is on parental leave at the moment. We have 1 constable who is on medical leave at the moment. And we have another one who is on medical restrictions, working on administrative duties only. And we can move to the next slide, please. These are the statistics that I was referring to a moment ago. These are specific to the town of Gibbons now. There's 3 columns here, and I'll explain them all. So on the first column, we have Q1, and that's the update, of course, for April 1st to June 30th. This second column is a comparison from that same period the previous year in 2023. Our year-to-date, of course, with this being the Q1 update, it's going to mirror the first column. And we've broken this down into a group of fairly common police activities and crime occurrences. As I mentioned earlier, if there is anything specific, if there's anything on this list that we feel perhaps is not relevant to the folks here in Gibbons, we can certainly remove that. If there's more data we wish to see that isn't included in this list, you can reach out to me. Any of you can reach out to me directly, and I'll be happy to include that in future reports. When we look at our spousal abuse, the Q1 is a number of 10. And again, this is any kind of occurrences that we go to where there is a domestic relationship as a factor. It's not necessarily a case of domestic assault or spousal abuse directly, but it's anything where an habitual relationship is a factor, is involved. Our Mental Health Act cases remained at 5, same over period last year. We did not have any RPAC referrals within the town of Gibbons during this period. We had no residential break-and-enters. We had 2 commercial break-and-enters, 4 vehicle thefts, 4 frauds, 15 reports of suspicious persons, and no reports of impaired drivers during this period. Across the board, very consistent year over year. Again.
With regards to the frauds, are they online crimes or are they person-to-person?
Mostly online is what we're seeing. Yeah, occasionally we'll see the in-person fraud, but in this day and age, it's a crime to at least attempt with a lot more ease and anonymity online, certainly. We can move to the next slide, please. One of the statistics I've also compiled for Mayor and Council specific to the town of Gibbons is our total RCMP calls for service within the town of Gibbons. I think this is a nice little piece of data that's good for everyone to know, and it's rather easy for me to collect. Q1, April 1st to June 30th, we had a total of 133 calls for service within the town of Gibbons. Just slightly up, as you would expect, coming from the winter months. Our previous quarter from January 1st to March 31st saw 121 calls for service, and we're actually on a slight decrease over this same period last year. We saw 149 calls for service within the town. And we can move to the next slide if there's no questions. And an update on community engagement. So at my previous presentation to council, I'd mentioned my communication strategy that I was anticipating. So that's rolled out. I've given all the direction to the members in my detachment, specifically to our supervisory team. So our communication strategy is that anytime we have any kind of updates that we believe are a significant interest to the public, to the community, and quite often that involves updates on property crimes. What are we doing about the property crimes? Because I saw a bit of a gap there, and I've lived in the community for a number of years. When I came into this role, I was hearing from multiple sources that it would be nice to know a little bit more about how we're doing. And not just leave things to that narrative that, well, the police won't do anything or there's no sense in calling anyone. If we don't effectively communicate to the public, the cases where, yep, we did get a call to this break and enter, we did get a call to the stolen vehicle, and we caught the guys. If we're not out there communicating that, then it's only our fault if the negative narrative takes over, that we're not having any kind of success. So what I've asked my membership in our detachment is to make sure they forward me any information immediately on any cases where there's significant interest, where we've made arrests on property crimes. And I'm sharing that with local officials in the community where it occurs and with our local media to make sure that they can publish it online right away. With our upcoming community engagement, we have school liaisons for 24-25. That includes the schools within Gibbons and throughout the detachment area. Each school will have a dedicated liaison officer from our detachment that will visit them a minimum of once a month. And I'm going to occasionally attend with them as well, just to make sure that I meet with the school administrators and to ensure that we're meeting the expectations. In addition to that, we also have our school resource officer program that we've revamped for this year at Sturgeon Composite High School and Morinville Community High School. We identified 4 gaps that needed to be addressed in the SRO program as it previously existed. One was having the right person in that role. And so we have Constable Tanner Wills, who recently transferred in from a federal policing unit in Edmonton. He has 16 years of service and is very well experienced in community policing. He is a perfect fit for that role. He is going to do fantastic. I think too often we fall into this temptation, and I don't mean Morinville Detachment, but I mean policing in general. There's a temptation to maybe assign roles like that to members for reasons other than operational. In other words, it fits their personal schedule, or they like the 9 to 5 or the convenience, and perhaps we're not putting them in there because they haven't necessarily an aptitude for that type of work. I want to get away from that, and I know it's a hefty price to pay because we're putting a fantastic police officer in this role who's no longer on the watch, no longer working on the nights and weekends. So that's the price we pay, but I think it's worth it. We really need to invest in the youth, and we're going to put our money where our mouth is. So Tanner's going to start in that role right after the long weekend here. He's going to be full-time, 2 days at Sturgeon Comp and 2 days at Morinville Community High School for the entire day. The second part we wanted to address there was having a schedule, and again, referring to the SRO program. The SRO program, as it went before, we seemed to just kind of take it week by week, so to say. And I want to have more of a structured approach to that. And so what we've done is we put together a schedule for the entire school year, right up till the last day of June. You can look at that calendar, and they've been shared with the administrators at both schools. They can look at that and they can pick a week in March or June next year, and they know which days of the week our SRO is going to be at that school. So I think that was a key. Another key point we wanted to improve on was the communication. If there's any kind of deviations from the schedule, if we have to make any kind of amendments or changes to it, the school is going to be communicated to immediately. Also, I'm going to make sure that I attend at least once a month with the SRO to keep track of how we're doing in the schools. And I'll also stay in touch with Greater St. Albert Catholic School Division and with Sturgeon School Division. Our fourth point on that is making sure that we have a contingency plan in place. So one issue that we ran into last year with our SRO program was unanticipated vacancies. And we have to accept the reality that sometimes that will happen with employees. People take medical leave, personal leaves of absence. It happens. What we need to make sure as an organization, as a local detachment, is that we have a plan in place to cover for that, so that when that happens, we don't just end up with a situation where we're no longer delivering the SRO program. We will continue to deliver it. If that means that we have to do a rotational committee approach, where all 4 watches on a rotational basis will complete those duties, then we'll do that. If that means that me personally, that I have to spend 1 or 2 days of my week in the schools, that's what we're going to do. And that will be the expectation of the new sergeant incoming as well. So it's going to be a group effort. We'll also reach into the reservist program as well if we need to, but we're going to have that presence. That will not be sacrificed this year. And so that's all been shared with the administrators at both schools, with our community partners. I'm very much looking forward to it. We're going to hit a home run in the schools this year. Crime Prevention Day upcoming, the Touch Your Truck event on September 10th. Just made confirmations today that, yep, we will have someone present with that one. I do have to ask, though, because this wasn't shared with me in the email, because it being called the Touch Your Truck, do we actually need a truck? Because we have a lot of SUVs, but I don't want to disappoint anyone. Okay, all right, we have an F-150. It's ready to go. So we'll just bring the truck. I'll play it safe. That's my update on the community engagement piece. If we forward to the next slide, we'll just move on to questions that anyone from council might have.
I'm going to ask you a hard question, Darcy, and it's one that
Certainly.
you don't control. With the sheer area of the Morinville detachment, what would be an ideal staffing complement over and above what you currently have?
I actually believe we do have a very appropriate staffing complement as it is. Some of the challenges that we encounter, Dan, are related to the reality that any employer has to face. When I mentioned we have to face the reality of medical leave. We have to face the reality of retirements, of folks that take parental leave. There are certain types of leave of absences that people are entitled to and should be entitled to. That being said, the challenges we face is that we can't just replace these folks that perhaps have to step aside temporarily. And it's the same challenge that I suspect any organization faces. That being said, our current establishment of 26 operational police officers, in addition to the reservist resource that we have, I believe is appropriate.
For the size and area and the municipalities we cover?
Absolutely.
Okay, no, and it's a question I just wanted to ask because the significant question that we get asked a lot is when are we getting more police?
Right.
Right? So I wanted to hear it from you as the commanding officer, whether you think you have the resources at hand with the numbers you have at hand to actually provide good and coverage for your members too. Because
Absolutely.
It's a safety issue.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. And you know what? There's a lot of factors that go into that, into determining where those resources are going to go. And in a province like Alberta, that growth never reverses or goes backwards. We're always having to grow. We're always having to add to it. Where those resources go strategically, one big piece of data on that is our call volume, right? Our crime severity indexes, population growth. Those are all big things, and make no mistake about it, a lot of those things are kind of on the uptick here. Thankfully, our crime rates are fairly steady and in some areas declining in this area, which is fantastic. Some parts of this province are less fortunate that they don't see that kind of progress or stability, I suppose, that we have here. And there are places that are certainly, myself coming from this HR background where we covered all of Alberta, I recognize some places that were in certainly a higher need or greater need of additional resources than perhaps Morinville detachment.
It's different than Fort Assumption to here.
It certainly can be, yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Any other questions, Council? Lorraine?
Just comments, one good and one not so good. The good one is I'm glad to see the articles that are appearing in the Morinville paper. I have noticed them, and I think the positive spin that you have been using is good. In other words, we're seeing when you're successful in finding the bad guys. I like that, and I would like to see more. What I'm not so happy about, and you have no control over this, are the stats on spousal abuse. That's always something that bothers me, and that's just a comment. Thank
Certainly. So I can address both of those. So first of all, thank you for the comment, and that's what we aim to do, right? We want to have that transparency. We want to make sure that the sense in the community about what kind of impact the police are having is accurate with how we're truly doing. And truthfully, it requires no spin at all. It's more just about transparency, right? We're just pulling back the curtain and showing people, look, this is what we did on the weekend. These are the guys we busted. And it's not hard to do, and it doesn't require any kind of interpretation to it. We're just letting people know, and I think it's an important thing we have to do. I will mention again, I did touch on it a little bit, but I'll expand on it. When it comes to our data on spousal abuse, over probably about the last 15 years now, we've been really careful about how we collect that data in the RCMP, and specifically within Alberta NK division here. Any instance where there's a factor of a cohabitual relationship or a domestic relationship is going to be captured in that data. And so, in other words, if we have any kind of situation, it could be just someone calling us because there's an issue with a custody order, or it could be an issue with, a couple, perhaps they're squabbling over a vehicle that is being contested through a divorce kind of thing, and they call us, and we end up in the middle of it just to kind of try to sort it out kind of thing. All of that gets captured in that data. If you do like Lorraine at some point, I have no problem because we are looking at a relatively low volume for the town of Gibbons, 10 files for this quarter. I'd be happy to vet the summaries and share each one of them with you, and then you can see that perhaps it's not as alarming as it might appear.
I would really appreciate that.
Certainly.
And that does help me to feel a little better about the statistics.
Yeah.
Any further questions, council? Darcy? Constable Mercier? Thank you very much for your time, guys. Thanks for your service, and look forward to seeing you touch a truck.
Yes. Thank you very much, everyone.
All right. Can I get a motion to accept as information, please? Dale?
I'll make the motion to accept as information.
All in favor? Carried. Committee reports. Norm?
Okay, after being on holidays, August 10th, I was at the Bon Accord Parade, August 17th at the Redwater Parade, and August 19th at a meeting of the Water Commission.
Willis?
Give me 2 seconds, please. Yeah, anyway, go the easy route. So, August 10th, the Bon Accord Parade, and August 17th, the Redwater Parade, and the Sturgeon, or actually the Strathcona Mayor's Tournament on, I gotta think of what day is it, the beginning of August. I sent it to Chris, and that's it.
As per the sanctions imposed on me due to harassment complaint from senior employees, I will not be attending anything other than the 2 regular meetings of council between now and October 2025.
Lorraine?
On August the 9th, I attended the Northern Lights Library System executive meeting. That meeting rotates around the region, and it happened to be taking place here in Gibbons, so I felt it was appropriate that I attend, and I found it very interesting. I also attended the Bon Accord Parade on August the 10th and the Redwater Parade on August the 17th, and that's it.
Dale?
On July 27th, I attended the Legal Parade, and August 10th, I attended the Bon Accord Parade.
All right, and rolling back a bit, as I was away on vacation, then away for personal reasons. On May 24th, I attended the Rainmaker Rodeo Parade. 27th, Edmonton Global Working Group. May 28th to 31st, the SWANA Conference for Rose Ridge Landfill Commission in Saskatoon. June, the FCM Conference. June, AIHA Petrochemical Summit. June 13th, the Edmonton Global Working Group again, Rose Ridge Landfill Commission. 14th, Alberta Munis Summer Leaders Caucus. June 15th, the Mornville Festival Pancake Breakfast. June 19th, our Pride in the Park. the Sturgeon Mares Golf Tournament, the Edmonton Global Shareholders Extraordinary Meeting, a meeting with the the Gibbons Spartans Hockey Club, also the Legal Parade, also our ball game and barbecue, and the Sturgeon Regional Emergency Management Partnership meeting the other day. Tim Larson is now the new chair because I was chair for 2 years and it was time for someone else, and he talked first in the meeting. Maurice St. Denis will be our co-chair. And that ends my report. Thank you. Can I get a motion to accept the reports?
I'll move to accept the reports as information.
All in favor? Correspondence, could I get a motion to accept the National Police Federation from Alberta's letter, please?
I'll make the motion to accept that as information.
All in favor? Carried. Get a motion to move into closed session.
I'll make the motion to move into closed session.
All in favor? Carried. Call a break because it was gonna be really, really, really quick.
Okay, I'm ready for that motion.
Okay, for Councillor Woola,
I'll make the motion to move out of closed session.
all in favor?
Sorry, that motion's already happened. We need a motion to accept as information on the closed session item, please.
I'll make a motion to accept that as information on the personnel flip 18-24.
All in favor? Carried.